What's up, YouTube? I am the Fan of Steel. Welcome to my YouTube channel, a place where all we do is talk about movies, TV, video games, comics, any of that stuff that you guys want to talk about. This is the place right here. We're going to jump into this because if you saw yesterday, we got a brand new trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home, and I already did a reaction video to that. I gave you guys my thoughts on it. I really liked the trailer. I thought it was good. And after I did that video just talking about it, I watched the trailer over again. I've seen it probably over a dozen times. But it really got me thinking after I did the video just reacting to it and talking about it. I really started thinking like, okay, so if this movie is ending Phase 3, concluding and just putting a bow on the Infinity Saga, then where are we going after this? Because if you look at the trailer, the thing that I love is that I really think that this movie, this Spider-Man Far From Home, is going to wrap up the Infinity Saga nicely, but also think it's going to give us a lot of great stuff to move forward with, and some new stuff that we can really be anticipating, and kind of give us a feel for how things are going to be moving forward with the MCU Phase 4, and even just Spider-Man and his character, how that's going to fit into all that as a whole too. So this video, guys, is just going to be me giving just some wild speculations and some fan hopes and dreams and theories. So just an ultra sweaty video, just a lot of fun, just me just having a good time with this. Now I will say, and I'm going to put it in the description, that there will be spoilers for all of the Marvel movies. All of the Marvel movies up until now, including Endgame. If I'm going to drop a massive spoiler, I'll try to give you another heads up if I can, but if I get going, I'm letting you guys know now. If you have not seen Avengers Endgame, if you have not seen the new trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home, then go and watch those first. What are you guys doing listening to my videos when you can be watching Avengers Endgame? Go watch that. That's what you need to be seeing right now, and then come back to this. Okay. So with all that said, let's jump into this. So one of the big things that I said going into the reaction for Spider-Man Far From Home is that with them saying that there is a multiverse out there, if that ends up being true, and that's not just Quentin Beck, Mysterio making something up and trying to throw a curveball at us, then does that open up the door for Venom to then be a part of this? And really, this multiverse thing is really interesting to me. And it makes a lot of sense. Now, if they end up not doing that and that ends up being a curveball, then fine, whatever. That I'm not gonna be bothered by that too much. But I really do want to see what they can do with the multiverse, and I really think that that could work well. And I believe her name is Amy Pascal, the lady that is over Sony. Whenever that they were interviewing her and Kevin Feige before Venom was coming out, they asked, "Can we see Tom Holland in Venom?" And basically what she said was, they're not in the same universe, but they're in the same reality. So it could have been that maybe something right there slipped that we weren't supposed to know yet. Maybe she had some insider information, or maybe, she's just talking. But that would be really cool to see Venom. You could do something like that. Another thing that this opens up for a big possibility is you can put the X-Men in very easily now. If you want to use a multiverse, then you can do that, and that kind of helps with the whole, well, if mutants have been around this whole time, then why haven't we seen any of them, yada yada yada, whatever. I'm not saying you have to do a multiverse, like a multiverse is the only way to put the X-Men in here, I definitely don't think that. I think there are other ways to do it. They don't have to use that, but if they wanted to, they definitely could, and I would be fine if they wanted to do that. And I don't know, multiverses just open up so many different doors. And if you want proof of that, then just look at the comics, because the comics have been doing that for forever. The comics have always been using multiverses. You want to see a universe where Uncle Ben doesn't die, here you go. You want to see a universe where Batman kills the Joker, then here you go. And just, you want to see a universe where Batman is a vampire, here you go. There's just so many different avenues that you can go with the multiverse. It also helps, of course, with the Fantastic Four. You can, include them in there. Reed Richards is a real big help with that whole thing and explaining a multiverse. He would be a great character to use for that. Again, I think I've said this before, but if I haven't, oh, I forget his name right now. I forget his name. I was going to tell you guys my fan casting for Reed Richards' Mr. Fantastic. Oh, he was in The Office. He directed A Quiet Place. John Krasinski. Yes, that would be my pick for that. He and Emily Blunt would make a great Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, but that would be really cool. Another awesome thing, if you do this, if you do a multiverse, you know what else that opens up the door for, guys? Robert Downey Jr. not being done as Iron Man. Again, spoilers for Endgame if you haven't seen it yet, but Iron Man dies at the end of Endgame. But if we have a multiverse, just think about it. Spider-Man traveling to another universe, and Tony Stark is still alive in that universe. How cool would that be? So, if there is a multiverse, if we do end up going into some kind of a multiverse type thing in the MCU, I'm calling it right now. We are seeing Robert Downey Jr. at least one more time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think we will see him again. If they do that, I don't know how big of a role it would be, but if they wanted to bring him in 5-6 years down the road, I could see them doing that. And how cool would that be, especially since we know that Far From Home is going to really be dealing with, as far as one of the big ties and the big focal points of this movie being how Spider-Man is going to adapt and adjust with and just cope with the death of Tony Stark. And again, I told you guys whenever I did my reaction for this new Far From Home trailer, just how much I love that, because that was something I really wanted to see after I saw Endgame. I was like, okay, so now that I know Far From Home's coming out, I really want to see them actually deal with this. Tom Holland, actually, Spider-Man dealing with that loss. It also opens up the door for Cap. We can see Captain America come back. We know Chris Evans has said many times that he has loved playing Captain America. He said in many interviews that he's willing to continue to play Captain America. But again, with Endgame, if you see the end of that, he's an old man now. But if you've got a multiverse, you could see another version of Captain America and he could reprise that role. How cool would that be, guys? So, we've got a multiverse possibility for the future of the MCU. You can do a lot of stuff with that. Some other things that, and again, these are, I have no evidence. I have nothing really to base this on. This is just wild fan theories and just speculation, just having a good time. The things that make comic books and comic movies special is just speculating and just having a good time discussing and talking about it. Another thing I would love to see in the MCU, I would love to see them delve into the Secret Wars in some way. Look, we have already seen the Collector. He's already been in here. It would not be a stretch to put the Beyonder in there. If you know anything about the Secret Wars, long story short, the basic gist of it is the Beyonder gets several core heroes from Earth, and he gets several core villains from Earth and puts them just basically on a planet to see who is stronger. Good or evil? Is evil stronger than good, or is good stronger than evil? He just wants to see a test of that. Really awesome, really cool idea. It would be a lot of fun to see something like that. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly like the comics, that's fine, but something along those lines would be awesome. I would love to see something like that. And we know the MCU has really gotten into the cosmic era, and they've really delved into that hard and sweaty. It's been awesome. I've loved it. So I don't think Secret Wars is too big of a stretch. And this is coming from the guy who, back whenever that Iron Man 2, around that time, so we're talking like, well, no, probably around 2012. So when we had only gotten the first Avengers movie. And I was talking with one of my friends who was a big nerd as well. And I was saying, you know what, dude, I would love to see Civil War, a movie done in Civil War. And I remember him telling me it'll never happen. There's no way they can do that. There's too many characters. The rights are all tied up, yada, yada, yada. I was like, yeah, I know. But I would love to see them do something like it. And what did we get? We've actually gotten Civil War. Not only have we gotten Civil War, but we have gotten Infinity War. We have gotten Thanos, the Mad Titan himself. I don't think that anything is too far of a stretch anymore. And look, a lot of this is also going to depend on how things work out with the rights of Spider-Man. Going back to Venom and the multiverse, we know that Sony has said that they want to use Spider-Man in their movies going forward. Okay, that makes sense. So, but they've also said that, Spider-Man's back where he belongs. They've actually said that he's back where he belongs. Amy Pascal has made that statement there at Disney. So, and he's making great money. But we also know that even though he's making great money for Sony, and even though they've got Tom Holland's contract is going to be over after this Far From Home. It's going to be completed. Now, I fully expect for Tom Holland to renew his contract and continue playing this character. There's no reason why he wouldn't. I really have no doubt in my mind that he is going to do that. But the other thing is that the deal between Sony and Disney is going to be completed after Far From Home. That is the one thing that I do worry about just a little bit. I expect them to renew. I hope they do. But I also expect for them to kind of make some adjustments. Because as it stands right now, they cannot use Spider-Man in just however they want to and introduce him and use him however they want. As it stands right now, they can't just use him for Venom 2. For a sequel to Venom. They can't do it at this moment. But if they renegotiate, and if you put a multiverse, like, we'll call it a multiverse clause. If you put a multiverse clause in the contract where that Spider-Man can be used in, like, the Sonyverse with Venom and Morbius and Kraven and all of those characters, and also with the Disney stuff and the Marvel stuff without those intersecting too much, just say that you're in a multiverse, then that works. And you've got Tom Holland's Spider-Man, going all over with all these different multiverses and things like that. It doesn't have to tie in too much. That's fine. And we've seen even with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse that Sony is cool with doing these multiverse things. They like that idea of exploring different Spider-Men in different universes. I think it could work. It would be really good to see that, and then you can have the best of both worlds. You can have Tom Holland interacting with Tom Hardy's Venom, and you can have him interacting with the Avengers and playing a key role there, because the way it looks in Far From Home, it looks like they could really set Spider-Man up to be a key player moving forward. And I'm all for that. I'd love to see that. But for that to work, they have to logistically, they have to renew the contract between Sony and Disney. Another storyline that I would really love to see. Now, I think this one is a little less likely. And the reason why is because what they did with the Skrulls in Captain Marvel. And this, if you guys watched my review of Captain Marvel, my spoiler review that I did on that, you know that one of the biggest gripes that I had with Captain Marvel was what they did with the Skrulls. And not because I I hate any change that you do to any characters. I understand that you have to make changes to fit story and everything like that, but I felt like the Skrulls are such a great, rich character and you can do so much with them. I felt like it was just a waste to use them because the way that they portrayed them, they were a victim and a victim of circumstances and just made them relatable and made them where that they're not a villain and just kind of painted themselves in a corner where now they can't use them for anything ever really again because you've already said basically, hey, these guys aren't bad guys, they're just victims. And so to use the Skrulls as just kind of a one-off like that just seemed like such a total waste to me. But if there is any shot, any possibility whatsoever, I think it would be awesome to see a secret invasion storyline and just setting that up and how cool that would be. Again, that's something that you could set up and you could play with and work with for several phases again if they so wanted to. And just set up the pieces and set up the dominoes for another huge event blockbuster like what we've had with Infinity War and Endgame. It works great in the comics. Again, not everything that works in the comics works well on the big screen. You have to make adjustments and tweaks. But this could be a really, really rich storyline that they could explore and do some great things with. And then if you want to add that to a multiverse, that might get a little bit too convoluted, but either way, that could be a lot of fun. There's a lot of great material that they can pick from and stuff that they can use. Who knows exactly where you could go from there. If you know about basically the secret invasion, so you've got Skrulls end up mimicking and taking the place of several of the Avengers and different ones, and so it becomes a who do you trust type situation. I don't know who I can trust. That makes for a really cool, really interesting storyline, and several of them have been deep-seated agents that have been there for a long time. And I was kind of expecting to see a little bit of that in Captain Marvel, so part of that was a little bit of disappointment of expectations, but it wasn't all just that. The big thing was just I felt like they just threw away opportunity, and I hated to see that. But that's another really cool idea that they could do. That would be a lot of fun. I'd love to see them do something like that. And again, how would Spider-Man fit into that? That would be interesting too. Do you make him a Skrull? Or do you let him be like kind of one of the last ones standing? I don't really know, but it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what they could do with that. The new Avengers is also a possibility because it's kind of hard to tell if we're going to have Avengers, who that team is going to be. If Spider-Man sticks around with Disney and they continue to use him, I see him being a key member. I see War Machine being a key member, probably. I don't think Hawkeye would be. Hulk, I could see him playing like a backseat role. Black Panther, I could see. Doctor Strange, I could see. Captain Marvel, I could see being an every once in a while popping up whenever it's needed type thing. And then of course, you got the X-Men and the Fantastic Four characters and everything like that. And however they decide to introduce them, but that'd be interesting. So that's my second one of my second ideas that I would really like to see them do if they so chose, and that would be uh, Secret Wars, and then Secret Invasion. The other one that I would like to see takes place because of Secret Invasion, and that is the Dark Avengers. So, this one I really like because we know that Stark Tower got sold in Homecoming. We don't know who it got sold to, but a big theory is that it could be Norman Osborn and turn into Oscorp. Well, after the Secret Invasion, in the comic books, after Secret Invasion, you get the Dark Avengers because everybody has so much mistrust and everything with that. The original Avengers kind of take a back seat, and Norman Osborn ends up leading his version of the Avengers, but they are villains that are quote-unquote reformed. So you've got people like Venom, who is portraying himself as the black suit Spider-Man. You've got Bullseye, who portrays himself as Clint Barton, Hawkeye. I think his name is Dakin, or it's Wolverine's son. Plays that. Ragnarok ends up kind of taking Thor's place, and if you know the comics, he's like a cyborgish type version of Thor. It's a little convoluted. And then of course Norman Osborn plays as the Iron Patriot, and he takes Tony Stark, Iron Man's place. And I forget who it is that's mimicking Captain Marvel, but there's some stuff that goes on there. But it's a really interesting thing, and it would be interesting to see the dynamic that they could do with that, where that you've got this team that shows themselves in the public eye to be good and to be heroes, and then you see them doing evil in the background. And there are a lot of different ways that you could do that, where that maybe you don't even let the audience know that they're doing all this, and then reveal it in a movie like later in time, whatever, and it just be like a massive, like, brain explosion, like, what? This has been going on the whole time? Or let them know, and then you've got like this other kind of like a secret war that's going on between them and the original Avengers, but people don't trust the original Avengers, and so, it creates a really interesting dynamic and a story because of just how everything is going with that. So I think that would be a really cool storyline. I would love to see that. Again, with the multiverse, there's some cool things that you could do with that. You could introduce that after the multiverse. Maybe you introduce the Dark Avengers not because of a Skrull invasion, but maybe because the heroes have been gone, trying to fix things that have been problems that have been caused by a multiverse, and when they come back, these Dark Avengers have established themselves as heroes. And so where do you go from there? Now you've got these new heroes and you've got the old heroes. Who do you trust? And the new heroes are looking like, well, maybe they stepped up. Maybe we're, jumping to conclusions. And looking at them and they're like, well, maybe they're okay. Maybe they actually do mean some good. And then they start seeing through the lie and everything. There's a lot of really cool stuff that you could do with that. I would love to see it. I think it would be an interesting story, and just some great plot points that you could do with that. Plus, then you get to introduce some really cool characters like Norman Osborn. I really, really want to see Norman Osborn pop up in this universe. I am really, really hoping that it does actually turn out to be Oscorp being the ones that bought out Avengers Tower, and that we actually do get to see that in Far From Home. Kind of crossing my fingers on that one. I want to see that happen. Going back into Far From Home, I know that there are some theories out there, of course. So we got the theory that there's the multiverse, that Mysterio is telling the truth, that this is all actually going down, that again, I do not buy him as a hero. I think that's kind of a misdirection. I don't think he really is the hero that he is professing himself to be. Now, it could be that he's trying to do, like I said in the trailer reaction that I did, that he thinks he's doing right, or he's trying to do something good in a wrong way. He just has a wrong method of executing it, just like we've seen them do with the Vulture. A guy who all he's wanting to do is take care of his family, but he's going about it in a wrong way. We could see something kind of like that with Quentin Beck and Mysterio, and he just has a skewed philosophy and mindset on things. That's very possible. It could be that he's just set this whole thing up to make himself look like a good guy, like we know Mysterio to do, and he's just, playing the game, making himself look like he's a hero. The other possibility, and something that I have heard, is that there really is no multiverse. That's just a lie that he is throwing out there to throw off suspicion and do whatever. And that would kind of fit in with I'm not sure if they're going to actually give him like any supernatural powers, or if he really is going to be like how we know he is, the master of illusion. It's hard to tell that in the trailer. We won't know, I don't think, until we actually see the movie. For me, either way they want to go with it is fine. If they want to take the more grounded approach and just say he's just been playing the cards the whole time, he's been playing everybody, there's no multiverse, this has all just been an elaborate scheme and setup to further his agenda, and he's got some wild, crazy plan that he's trying to execute. These guys have been on his side. He's made himself to look like the hero. They want to do that, that's fine. If they want to do it where there is actually a multiverse, and however they want to play with that, that's fine. I think the only option that I don't like, which, again, I'm judging this based off of 5 minutes of the movie that I've seen just from the trailers that have been cut together. So I have to withhold full judgment until I see the movie. But I don't want for them to make him a good guy fully. If we come to the end of the movie and we find out, oh yeah, he really was a good guy, I have a really hard time with that, because I want to see Mysterio as the villain that we know him to be. Maybe they have if that ends up being the case, it could be that they've got a really good storyline for that. If that's the case, fine. We'll roll with it and see how it shakes out, but I want to actually see him as the villain, as the main antagonist. That's what I want to see. And that's what I'm hoping for. And moving forward, I would love to see them keep him around and use him for, use him for the Sinister Six. We've already got Vulture, we've already got Scorpion. You add Mysterio, that's 3, so you got half of the crew right there. That's the makings of a great, great Sinister Six. And I would love to see that. I think him being a part of the Sinister Six is more likely if they don't go the multiverse route, because if they go the multiverse route, then, he's got to go back to his own timeline, his own universe, whatever. I also really like the idea with the multiverse, like I had said in the trailer reaction, that when he says to Spider-Man, we need people like you where I'm from. I love the idea that he's playing that up, and that there actually was a Spider-Man in his universe, but he killed him. What a twist would that be? And then now we see him trying to mentor Peter in Far From Home, and he's like, it comes down to it, and there's a final boss fight, and he said, I was hoping that you would be better and different than the other guy that wore that suit in my universe. But I guess you're just as misguided as he is. Something like that, and just this huge twist to show that, I had to get rid of him too because he couldn't see the truth just like you can. And just some wild, crazy thing. It'd be awesome. Either way, though, like I said, I just wanted to give my thoughts on the MCU Phase 4, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man as a character moving forward. Because after I had gotten done with that, I was just mulling everything over. I'm like, there is so much that they can do. So much with introducing the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. How are they going to do that? There's still so many great Marvel storylines that are yet to be explored. And I just mentioned a few of them, whether it's New Avengers, Secret Wars, Secret Invasion, the Dark Avengers. All of those are great things that they can do. Of course, you've got Galactus and Silver Surfer that you can use now. You've got Doctor Doom that you can use. You've got Annihilus. There's the Red Hulk. I mean, there's just so many avenues that they can go with this. Red Skull is still out there. If they wanted to find a way to bring him back, they could do that. You've got MODOK. You've got, which you've kind of already seen. Let's see, who else is there? I'm thinking of one really big one. You've got Kang the Conqueror. There's just so much that they can do with this moving forward. I'm just glad to see that the MCU, there's still so much richness there. There's still so much that is untapped potential, and I'm glad to see that they're still moving forward with. They're still being creative. They're still taking chances, and I'm just excited to see what they've got coming for us in the future. What's coming down the pike? I cannot wait. But let me know in the comment section, guys, what do you think the MCU is going to look like moving forward with Phase 4, with the future of Spider-Man, all of those things? What are your thoughts on it? How do you like some of my ideas? Again, these are just fan speculation. I'm just having fun just talking about all this. These are just my wild thoughts that I was putting together for you guys that I thought you would enjoy. But I want to hear what your thoughts are on all this. Do you guys have any wild fan speculations? Let me know in the comments section down below. And also, guys, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you can see whenever I'm going live for my live gameplay videos, so you can get in there with me on that and we can chat with all this stuff live. I love it whenever that we get a good group in there live and we can be talking about a lot of stuff, whether it's Star Wars, DC, Marvel, comics, whatever, movies, TVs. That's why this channel is here. That's why I created it, so we can have a great, fun environment to just talk about those things openly, talk about our fandoms, and just enjoy it as fellow film fans and fellow comic book fans and all the above. So that'll do it for my video today, guys. Thank you so very, very much for joining me, and as always, keep geeking out.